Hey, I'm Ziv, and this is On the Journey. Every week on the journey explores the intersection of wellness, spiritual inquiry, mental health, personal growth, and purposeful living through the eyes of the people we interview. And today we interview Adam Quiney. Hey, Adam, welcome.
Hey Ziv, how's it going, man?
It's good.
Okay, so well, I'm actually going to start by saying it is a little contrived because typically we would just jump into connecting with each other, but I'm kind of going to shift us. I'll be a little more intentional so that we can dive right into something. So if there was something in your life you wanted to move forward, wanted to create a shift around, something you'd like to, let's say, supercharge, create some kind of momentum in, what would it be? What would we be looking at today?
Um, I think like when I think about my life, I think that the biggest challenge is the balance between personal growth, self-improvement, and how I interact with the people that I care. Like I feel that the time that I spend, I find very, very difficult to find the balance between what I do to make me better or happy or to live the life that I believe in and the time that I need to spend to make the people I care about happier or to give them a piece of me instead of giving pieces of me to me.
Interest. Okay, so let me make sure I'm hearing you right, but it sounds like you struggle with the balance between your own growth and development and then sort of these weren't necessarily the words you used, but like your relationships on some level, there's something that feels missing there. Is that more or less what you're talking about?
Yeah, it's very accurate.
Okay, got it. So help me understand that. Like, what gets traded off? Like when you put attention into personal growth, what are you doing there that then makes your relationships seem to be less in balance?
So in a way, I put a lot of time into me, meditation, running, reflection. It takes hours every day.
Yeah.
In theory, that time could be put into cleaning the house, spending more time with the kids, doing more things that are family things. So in
Right.
theory, 2 or 3 hours a day I could put into 4 hours sometimes. I could put into family, friends, relationships. And I just don't have, even though I wake up at 4 a.m. every morning, I don't have the time to like go out and drink beer because
It's too bad.
I do other things. Yeah, exactly. And if I would feel complete and like that it's okay, then everything would be good. But I feel that I miss important part. So it's.
Well, that makes sense. What time do you go to bed out of curiosity?
I try to sleep at least 7 hours.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going at 9 p.m. max usually. I try to.
Yeah, I get up at 5:30 and that's early for a lot of people. And then 4 a.m. Holy cow, you are really driven. And so I acknowledge you for that. That's really quite something. So, okay, it sounds like personal growth for you is like the internal journey in a lot of ways. It's meditation, it's reflection, it's sort of sitting with what's showing up in your life and perhaps contemplating it. And then running, which at least for me is a form of meditation in its own right. You know, you're out in nature or whatever. So how would things look if you could create this balance that you're after? Like what would we notice would be different tangibly in your life?
I think on two levels. On the internal level, I would feel more whole, like in a way that I live, like the life that I live this is how they should be. Now I feel that something is not right, like it's not there. And in the external, I think the people around me would be happier.
Interesting.
I would be able to contribute more to my community, to my family, to my friends. I would have more time.
Got it. So, well, that's interesting because you said the result of more of this balance would be that people around you would be happier.
Yes. And internally, I will feel like now I feel that something is missing, that my life are not balanced. I can't put my finger on where and what I can change, but I don't feel that everything is balanced. I think that there is something. missing.
So what is the feeling, if it's not feeling whole, feeling balanced, what is your daily experience of life? Like when you're going through life, doing all this stuff, getting up at 4 a.m, what's kind of the experience you're in moment by moment for the most part?
So it's like a contradiction. In one way, I feel very, on one hand, many times I feel very strong and good. On the other hand, I feel that I disappoint people around me,
Mm,
that they need more of my time, and maybe my priorities are not set correctly. Maybe
uh-huh.
that's, yeah.
I can relate to a lot of that. Like certainly for me, a lot of my life has been either a fear of disappointing other people or an experience that I might, or managing my life such that I don't leave people disappointed. Or the flip side to that would be kind of figuring out how to be okay, like almost like a form of empowered resignation. Like, fine, people are going to be disappointed. I'm just going to not be upset about that. And then I can do my work, which made me a good attorney, but didn't make life quite any richer. Just meant I didn't have to be with the lack of richness in my life. Didn't have to feel it. So I'm curious, what do you do currently to try to deal with this disappointment that you don't want to feel that sometimes is there? How do you manage that?
I talk to you.
Right? Great.
Okay, so Adam, now we're gonna cut because
Great.
I wish I could use all the time and get a session and help me, but we started it as a simulation to get a taste of what you do, and I would love to hear, from your starting question, which was a, like a big question that made me pause and say, "Whoa, okay, so what?" So I would love to hear what comes behind it and what is your how would it continue if you would continue the session? What's the logic behind it?
Sure. And let me check, how much time are we scheduled for? I've got plenty of time. I just want to make sure I'm speaking and using our time
Yeah, we
appropriately.
have around like 7 minutes more.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's tight. Great. So, um, the first thing I would say, just as a general philosophy for coaching as a modality, is that there's three components that are necessary to really coach. So the first one is, where's the client currently? What does life look like for them? Where are they? This is the part where you're looking at the map and it says you are here. Without that, people can show up and be like, I want to get a Ferrari. And they can tell you all about the Ferrari. But if we don't know where they are, it might be like, oh, you've got $1 billion in the bank. You just need to walk to the Ferrari dealership. Or it might be you're eating beans cold out of a can because you don't even own a microwave because you have no money. And so where they are is really important. So we first need, where are you? Second, we need, where do you want to be? So it's great if someone's looking at the map and they're like, I'm here. I hate being here. I wish I wasn't here. But we need to know where they actually want to go to, because what most of us are doing in our life is, how do I not be where I am? And when you make your goal to not be where you are, you tend to you orbit around where you are. It's kind of like, if I'm really worried about driving into this ditch, the only way to make certain I do that is to keep my eye on that ditch and make sure I don't drive into it, which then has me go parallel to the ditch. So I'm like not in the ditch, but I'm also not creating what I want. Does this make sense so far?
Yeah, it does. It does. Although I
Okay,
have to
great.
to ask you some. I will.
Please.
Yeah, one of the old chapters from Sesame Street.
Huh.
And I don't know if you saw this specific part, but it touched me as a kid that he always wanted to be there. I don't remember the character, but he said, I want to be there. I want to be there. And when he got there, he said, I'm there. He said, no, you're here. He said, but I want to be there.
Right.
And it's like a huge metaphor. And so in a way, it makes sense. I need to know where I am. I need to know where I want to go, but I will always want to be there. So I will never be satisfied from where I am now.
Well, this is the paradox. And sometimes people will say, where I want to be is a Ferrari, but where they actually want to be is, I want to feel like I'm where I want to be in life. I want to feel fulfilled. And they're hoping that the Ferrari is the thing. And so in that situation, we first need to get, where are they? Then we need to really zoom in on where they want to be. And even though at first they'll be like, I need the Ferrari because then I'll know I've got money and I've succeeded at life. Oh, there's actually a deeper there for us to explore and support them with. So that's the superficial or the surface there, the thing that we want to create on the, which is why I was asking these questions. Like, ostensibly what you brought was balance. I want to create balance in my life, but I'm really curious, what does balance mean for Ziv? What does balance look like? What is he hoping will happen if he gets balance? And so as we explore that, I was starting to hear, there's this experience that kind of underlies life for Ziv a bit, not all the time, but if like feeling like the ditch you might drive into might be a little of leaving people disappointed, being disappointed, maybe if I can make people around me happy, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, we're going on 3 minutes, so don't take anything I say as too much of an assessment, right? Okay. But as we were exploring, we were getting a little more close on the there that you really wanted to create in your life. And then finally, once we have those two components, the last thing we need to figure out is what's the gap between where you are and where you want to be? What's in the way of getting from here to there? Only once we have those 3 elements would we start to coach to close that gap. So you can move yourself from where you currently are to where you'd really like to be.
So just for me to understand. So in a way, I'm in a place, there is an excuse to an external place, like the Ferrari or balance that I think I want to be. But the gap is with my internal expectation or my internal issues or my internal maybe unconscious of what I really want.
Well, the gap can be anything. Like the gap could literally be, I have $1,000 in my bank account. Excuse me. I want to buy a $900 coat, and I'm afraid that if I spend that $1,000, I'll never make it again. That's our gap. That's what's in the way. Or it could be, I'm here living a pretty good life, doing a lot of stuff. I'm motivated to get up at 4 in the morning. I kind of want balance. What I actually want is to have this experience of maybe being free from disappointment and just knowing I'm on the right path and feeling happy, whatever, I'm just making it up. How do I move from here to there? What seems to be in the way? So the gap, it doesn't have to be sort of like this deep-rooted psychological thing. It's more, we just want to get clear what seems to be in the way currently so that we can then move you through that to get towards where you want to go. Does that answer your question, or does that just make it more murky?
No, it does. It
Great.
It answers the question. And so what would you expect? Like we have like a minute or two. What would you expect that would happen after a few sessions?
So at least when people come to work with me, they're working to, this would be a longer conversation. I'm more than happy to give you more of my time if you want to schedule like a follow-up where we talk for an hour or more so you can just get a more fuller explanation. But most people are coming to a coach to change the surface level of their life. Not because they're shallow, it's just because we can't see the iceberg below the water. We just see the iceberg that sits at the top and we're like, the iceberg, it needs to be different. And then we take very earnest, well thought out, reasonable actions and approaches to address that iceberg. But alas, it's all under the water. So people would come to me, not all coaches, but they'd come to me because they want to change the whole iceberg, the entirety of it. And really that's about creating an entirely different way to live their life. We're really forming a new way of living life. So it's first we have to learn, oh, wow, there's a human condition, a way of living life that is fundamentally it gets me a bunch of results and it leaves me also feeling perpetually like I'm missing out on something in life. For me, disappointment, definitely a part of it. I was reliably making money as a lawyer, doing very good. And yet at some level, I felt a lack of intimacy everywhere in my life, blah, 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 blah. And so in a couple of weeks, not a lot's going to happen. What's typically going to happen is I'm going to start to point to people's blind spot. People are going to argue with me. No, it's not. It's not like that. That's not what I'm doing. No, Adam, it's different this time. And I'm going to go, okay, no problem. And we're going to come back next week and they're going to keep trying to do something and they're going to bump into their blind spot again. And so I'll give you a quick timeline over the course of maybe a year. What would happen? The first 3 months are often supporting them to learn how to be a client, because it's a weird thing. It's not really a relationship we're used to. The first 6 months are really being able to see our own truth, which involves like learning to catch ourselves when we're lying to ourselves or when our ego is fooling us, and starting to see like, oh shit. Like when you're at the bar dancing and they turn the lights on and you're like, I just want to leave. This is a monster I'm dancing with and I don't like how I look in this mirror. having people sit and be like, wow, this is what I've been doing. Some of this is cool and some of it's garbage and I don't like it. And then once people can actually sit and be with that without trying to fix or change it, because typically what happens is we're in the bar, we look in the mirror and we're like, oh my God, I got to put on makeup, or I got to do my hair, I got to fix all of this. If we can get them to stop and sit and really be with that, then some change can start to happen. So it's a much longer term process, but it creates a longer term exponential return as opposed to just a linear, you're on the same graph. You can move up and down it, but it's still a y equals mx plus b.
Adam, thank you so much. I will take a lot of things that you said, but the last thing, to stop, sit, and be with it, which is like so powerful yet so difficult. Simple
Yes, it
and
is.
difficult. Thank you
Difficult for
so
me
much
too.
for your time, for the simulation, for making me personally think, and now I'm going to do more reflection about what you said. Thanks a lot for the interview.
Cool, Ziv. Let me know if there's any more conversation you'd like to have. I'm happy to do so.
I sure will.
Okay.